Hey there, this is Jill Mar Smith, also known as the Savvy Servant, also known as the Nonprofit Expert, also known as your nonprofit coach. So, if you are a nonprofit founder and you have just started your nonprofit, or maybe you have a nonprofit that's been in existence, but you can't get over a certain amount, you can't get grant funding, your nonprofit does not generate more than 50,000 a year in revenue, you're in the right place. You definitely want to stick around here. So please subscribe and put on your notifications because it is my mission to help nonprofit founders develop their organization strategically so that they can secure six-figure grant funding. All right. Just before we get started, I just want to remind you, if you have not heard, but I have a free nonprofit development training. I advise all who work with me, even if you work with me just through YouTube, I suggest that you get that training. It is absolutely free. It's a 3-hour training, and the reason why you want to get that training is because I lay out how you should start your nonprofit, develop your nonprofit in a strategic way. So I tell you everything to do in a step-by-step way, so that when you listen to these videos on here on YouTube, they're just pieces of that whole strategy, and I don't want them to go over your head. So you might listen to this video today and it can be before or after I said to do X, Y, and Z first or last. So please check out that training. As I said, it's absolutely free. It costs you nothing but your name and your email address. And I need your email address so that I know where to send the link. All right. So you can go to my website, thesavvyservant.com. It is right there on the home page. Yeah. All right. So today, this is topic that I've gotten over the years. It always comes up. There's always confusion, and if you get this first meeting right, your nonprofit should be off to a very, very great start. And that is the topic of hosting your first board meeting. Before I tell you how to host your first board meeting, let me just preface this by saying you need to know your state's regulations as far as operating a nonprofit business in your state. So if you're going to put a nonprofit in one of the communities in your state, know what the state requires. This is something I talk about in the nonprofit training. Each nonprofit is regulated by their state, not the IRS. The IRS, the feds are only involved when it comes to tax exempt status. But as far as regulating and starting a nonprofit, that is up to your state. Not all states require that you have a board, so you need to know if that is your requirement for your state. And not all states require that you have all positions, officer positions. So the way I teach nonprofit management and development is having a full board with a board chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, sergeant at arms, but not all states require that. Now, although they don't require it, I strongly advise that you have a full-fledged board, because when you go to apply and submit proposals for uh, big funding, they're going to want to see governance, and they're going to want to see the composition of your board. And although your state may not require a board, a lot of grantors do not want to grant funds to nonprofits that do not have governance or oversight and any type of accountability um, um, governing their nonprofits. So I teach in a way where be safe, have more than enough. And so you definitely want to have a full-fledged board. That's what I advise. In addition to that, a lot of states, again, do your homework, but a lot of states, I had a client who was in New York. This was a couple of years ago. I had, strongly advised that she have her board in place, and she went and filed her vision as a nonprofit corporation in her state, and she filed the articles of incorporation. I believe I don't. The New York requires that you have a board, but I don't remember the composition. If it needed to be just a board and a treasurer, a board and a secretary, I'm not sure. But she filed her nonprofit with the state, and she got the articles of incorporation back, and she went to the bank, and the bank would not open up a bank account for her nonprofit because they said they needed to see two people on the documents on her articles, and it needed two signatures. And so she reached out to me. She was frantic. She had taken one of my courses, and she was like, "Jill, I don't know what to do." She was like, "Should I start over? It's going to cost me X, Y, and Z." So what she did was she amended um, the her articles, and she added her board. So I suggest that you get your board together. You form your board prior to even filing your vision as an actual corporation with your state. But that's totally up to you. That's totally, totally, totally up to you. You have to make that decision on your own. All right. So when you're hosting your first board meeting, what it actually is an interest meeting. That first board meeting is an interest meeting. So say you have 15 people in mind that you want to share your vision with, and you want to invite them to serve on your board, because you need people who are heavy hitters, people who have a Rolodex, people who's going to have your best interest at heart. I like to think of these people as your older brother and sister. They're going to have your back. They might not tell you what you want to hear, but you know that they got your back, and they're telling you things that are good for you. They know more than you, they've experienced more than you. So be very strategic with the composition of your board, the people who you're going to pick. So you're going to get a list of people who you highly respect and admire. I would definitely say people who have money savvy, business savvy, people who are skilled in a certain area you want to go in. Say if you're doing financial literacy programs, you definitely want to have somebody who is financially savvy. But you want to have some good, strong people on that you're picking. So, say if you pick 15 people, you're going to send them an email, and you're going to share your vision, and that you would like them to come out to an interest meeting to consider serving on your board. All right, to consider serving on your board. Um, so you send out this. And let me just say, in the Activate Toolkit, there's a whole uh, bunch of documents on board development. So everything is in there. Some from that interest letter, the sample language is in there, bylaws, the board roles, commitment statement, conflict of interest policy, all kind of stuff is in there, to get your board up and running. So you're going to send this interest email, and you're going to let them know the date, the time, the location, the duties of the board. Basically, you want to stress that the board only meets however many times they want to meet. Maybe once a month to help you get up and started, and then they can go quarterly. But you want to make sure that they know that it's not going to require a lot of their physical time, but more of their, business savvy, or, input, verbal input. So you're going to send them out that invitation. And so once they agree that they're going to come out to the interest meeting, whether you do it virtually or whether you do it in person, once they agree, and that's another thing you gotta I know with the pandemic, a lot of things have been gone, virtually, but make sure you know by your state that a board meeting that you can do it virtually. Make sure you know that. Um, See if they will approve, if that is approved. But say that first interest meeting is virtual. You're going to send them the date and the time, the location, and what have you. And then at that point, you will start to pull together your board package. So each potential board member will have a package of the different documents, a copy of, your vision of your nonprofit, all that good stuff, a draft copy of your bylaws. I do have a draft copy of your bylaws in the Activate Toolkit, and the bylaws that I have, it has two clauses that are in there that will protect you as the founder. Now they can change those, but it does already have it in there, just so you know. So the day of the interest meeting, you're going to get together with the, say, 9 of them show up. You're going to get together with them, and you're going to introduce, of course, who you are, what your vision is, what you're going to talk about, the issue that's in the area, and why this this why your nonprofit needs to exist. Of course, you're going to talk about your story if your story is attached to this issue. You're going to talk about, of course, the statistics in the area, why a nonprofit like yours need to exist. You're going to talk about the program that you're proposing to have, as well as how much it will cost to get the program up and running. And you're going to ask that they at least commit to at least 1 year to help your nonprofit get up and running. At that point, they will decide yay or nay whether they want to do it. And so, say 7 people say, yes, I'm in, we want to do it, or, I want to do it. At that point, everybody who is in, who decides that they want to be in, you're going to give them their board package. In that board package, one of the things that's in there is called a commitment statement. And it's like doing a vow. You're going to all, do a vow saying that you commit to this nonprofit, making sure that this nonprofit operates in integrity. It's a whole spiel. You say it out loud. I promise to work in integrity, make sure that this nonprofit is going to be in compliance with government and state, federal government and state rules and regulations, and da 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 da. And at that point, the group that decides that they're going to be in, it is up to them to decide what roles they want to play. Now, if they don't know and they ask you what you think, you can then say, well, I think, Tommy should be the board chair, and I think, Melissa should be the treasurer because of X, Y, and Z. But it's really up to them and up to the group. If somebody says, well, I wanted to be the board chair, then the group of them, you're a part of the board, but you're no longer a voting member. It will be the group of them have to decide amongst themselves who they want to vote as the board chair, the treasurer, whoever. Once they get that together, whoever is decided upon to be the board chair, you're going to do what's called the changing of the guards. And this is where, now none of this is, this is all up to you. This is what I suggest. This is what I've seen. This is what my clients do. This is what's been successful. I've served on boards as a board member, and this is what we do. So this is totally, nothing is in stone. This is not required, but this is what I suggest. So at that point, whoever's the board chair, what you're going to do is you're going to give over your draft business plan, as well as the board, your draft bylaws, and whatever else you drafted. You give that over to the board chair, and it's signifying the changing of the guards. It's signifying that you are going to humble yourself under the authority of those who have your best interests at heart. It doesn't mean that you're giving away your nonprofit, because you're going to be doing the work day to day. Whatever work you're going to be doing, whenever the board meets, you're just going to keep them updated of what you're doing. And they're going to then say, well, Candace, I don't think that you should do this and this. This is a better way because X, Y, and Z. And so once you do that, the board chair at that point, they will get together and they'll set the next board meeting. And it will be the secretary's job at that point to schedule the next board meeting. At that point, you need to just show up for the board meetings. Of course, they will coordinate with everybody's calendars. You're no longer in charge of scheduling board meetings. It would be the board secretary who would do that. And one of the first things that they're going to need to do at their next board meeting is review the bylaws and do whatever changes, amendments, and all that great stuff as a group, as the board, and then they all going to sign off on the bylaws. And at that point, then you all can go and open up the bank account, file the nonprofit. And yeah, it might seem like you're giving away your life, but really it's not. I'm going to tell you, you'll be surprised to know, if you have a great board in place, what is going to happen. Because say, for instance, to start your nonprofit up and to start your program, the program you want to launch. Say it's a financial literacy program, and say because you're the visionary, you drafted everything out. You already, of course, they're not changing the name of your nonprofit or none of that. But let's just say that you need $17,000 to just even get this nonprofit up and rolling. It would be the board's responsibility to get you that $17,000. Let me just tell you a real life situation, and this happened back in 2012 with my clients, Priscilla and Dinita. They're the co-founders of a nonprofit in Maryland called Lean on Us Unity, and they had their nonprofit is on a mission to help pregnant teens and young adult moms achieve self-sufficiency. So they have a great program. They do a lot. They do a lot to make sure that the moms are getting the basic needs for their children, whether it's child care. They have a partnership with the diaper bank, where every single month they give away thousands and thousands of diapers just to make sure that the mothers are getting what they need. So in while they are achieving self-sufficiency and growing in their lives to in their purpose and all that great stuff. So they came to me with an idea on a piece of paper. That was it. We met at a bookstore, a local bookstore. This is back in 2011, 2012. And they had their first board meeting, and I accompanied them to their first board meeting. They were probably now I have a lot of clients that have kick butt boards, but they were probably the clients that had like the best board composition I've ever seen. So they got all predominantly business owners. They had a financial advisor, and they had their meeting, and it was in person. And one of their board members was the spouse to their boss. Their boss owned a savvy practice. Priscilla and Dinita were co-workers at the time. He owned a savvy practice, and his spouse was also a business owner, and so she had taken favor in them. So they invited her out to the interest meeting, and when the group of, I think it was 7 of them, the group came together. They decided that they wanted her to be the board chair. And so when they got up and did their spiel, they gave over their documents, and it was like, but they agreed to submit under this group that they picked, this group's authority. And when they did that, a couple of days later, they called, they said, Jill, do you know such and such, the board chair just gave us a 5-figure check? And what they needed, how much they needed that they proposed, most of that was taken care of by one person. They had heavy hitters on the board. One of their board members was John Murray, who actually introduced us at the time, and still he's a entertainment commentary, and he at the time he was doing a lot of commentary on the Wendy Williams show, and one day he was on that show and he dropped their name. And because he dropped their name, mentioning them on during Hot Topics on one of the topic segments on the Wendy Williams show, they got an influx of calls. And so a lot of their clients came from that. Now you know him. He's now the executive producer for the Sherry Shepherd show. But it just goes to tell you that you definitely want heavy hitters on the board. You just don't want to fill board roles just for the sake of it. You want people who's going to really do what, have influence and can really help your nonprofit grow. And so yeah, it's well over 10 years since they've been in existence, and they've grown to a very lucrative nonprofit. So but they started off with this, exactly what I just told you. This is how their first board meeting was, and so it has been a success ever since. Now they are now in the attraction stage of their nonprofit. Like many people are reaching out to them. How can I help? How can I serve? What can I do? Do you? I mean, it's just at this point they, they'll say, well, Jill, we don't even know. We don't, we got to, somebody called us about doing that, and we don't even know how we can use them or whatever, and what they can do, and da 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 da. It's because that they have gotten that much support that they don't even know how to use the people who are now coming to them. But yeah, so they're on this mission now. They are trying to employ 100 employees this year. That is their goal. We're meeting the first weekend of March to do our VIP day, our strategic session. So they're coming down from Maryland to North Carolina, and we are looking for our spa retreat so that we can do their strategic planning session. But I say all that to say, make sure you get your first board meeting up and running the right way, because that really will really spring how you're going to do your meetings from here on out. And if you've already have your board together and it's just not working, consider having a meeting to say, do you really want to be a part of this board, and consider redoing your board if the board members you have, if they're just not working. You know, and but make sure you know what your state requires. All right. So I think that's it for this topic. If you have any comments, please leave them below. Questions concerning board composition, board setup, how to do a board meeting, and all this, leave your comments below. I would love to hear your feedback. And yeah, please make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications. All right, so that you won't miss these videos. All right, you have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.